What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This is Eric, and today we're talking about a potential rule change. This is an article, this is a story, this is a rumor that came out almost a month ago, so it's nothing new as far as the rumor goes. I haven't really talked about it too much, and I wanted to make a video touching on this potential rule change because we do cover rule changes here on this channel quite frequently, since they happen quite frequently under Rob Manfred. Every year it feels like we get 3, 4, 5 rule changes. I don't like the majority of them, and some of them I absolutely despise and always will, such as the runner on second base in extra innings. I'm not a fan of the 3-batter minimum. The clock has definitely helped the games move faster, that's for sure, and that's not bad for the game. The 3-hour, 3.5-hour games were getting too much, so I guess that's been a success. It's actually been more of a success than I thought. I thought players were going to be getting ejected left and right, getting pissed off when they get automatic strikes and balls. But other than a few ejections, that hasn't really happened. So I'm happy about that. So shout out there. Although I will say, now that that's working so well, maybe we can get rid of some of these other rule changes of the past that were made to speed up the game that really don't speed up the game that much. Like not throwing the 4 balls when you want to give someone a free pass, but I digress. I'm just saying 6-inning minimums for starting pitchers. This is super interesting because I'm someone who hates bullpen games. I'm someone who wants that old school starting pitcher versus starting pitcher. What's the matchup? And I want those pitchers to go deep into games, or at least have the opportunity to go deep into games. But it doesn't happen that much anymore. Even when pitchers are pitching well, sometimes they only pitch 4 or 5 innings and they get taken out. They don't want them pitching a third time through the lineup. So let's take a listen here and hear the rationale for what this rule change is supposed to accomplish. And then I'll give my thoughts on whether I like it or not. You would think I would like it, right? Well, let's find out. But first, let's take a listen here.
In talking to the league and executives about a minimum 6-inning requirement by starting pitchers, one thing emerged, that this would not impact that many games per week. Yes, it would eliminate the openers. No one's going to miss that. It would also take away that manager's decision when a pitcher's approaching the batting order for a third time. If he's going well, they're going to have to leave him in. If he's not going well, he probably would have been pulled anyway, considering the carve-outs that would be associated with this. 100 pitches, or if a pitcher gives up 4 or 5 runs, he can be pulled. So really, it's about that analytical decision to pull him before he faces an order for the third time. Everybody is in agreement. They want to see starting pitchers go longer. Agents, players, executives, and certainly the league. And they also think it would increase scoring. Maybe that third time through the order, there'd be a few more runs put on the board. And it would reduce injuries if pitchers' training habits would change. So this is potentially a panacea, something the league is talking about, requiring starting pitchers to go at least 6 innings. And by the way, it would also reduce the stress on relievers, as their workload would be reduced as well.
Okay, so there's the rationale behind it, as we just heard. And I don't totally disagree with most of that, although I don't think it's going to reduce pitcher injuries too much. Starting pitchers, most of them are trying to continue to perform well because they know they get sent back to the minors or DFA'd or whatever. So they're going to do the best they possibly can, and they're going to throw as hard as they can. And I don't think that's going to reduce pitcher injuries too much. If anything, it might increase them for some of the starting pitchers because now they're going deeper into games. But anyway, I'm not so sure about that. But that's not really the point. The point is, will it make the games better? I mean, in a sense, yes, because this is going to resemble old school baseball a little more in that we have a starting pitching matchup, and we know both pitchers, barring a few things, which we'll talk about the exceptions when you can pull these pitchers, but they're going to pitch relatively deep into the game. And I like that. I definitely like that. But my only concern is that it's definitely not happening naturally. It's not happening organically. Managers have to be forced to do the things that they used to do naturally just to make the game better for everybody. And I don't know if I like that. That's why I didn't like the 3-batter minimum. I like a 3-batter minimum, and like the fact that if a new pitcher comes in, I don't want him to just get pulled after 1 batter. That just slows the game down. It's kind of irritating. But I didn't like the fact that the manager is forced to have to keep a pitcher in for 3 batters. He goes in there and, we put in a Camilo Doval, walks the first guy on 4 pitches like, oh God, he doesn't have it. Next guy ropes one in the gap off the wall. Oh Lord, take him out now. Like, take him out now. He's off his game today. Oh, 3 batter minimum. I even forget now. I'm like, why did he pull him? 3 batter minimum. 3 batter minimum. So I don't like that the manager is being told you can't pull your pitcher, sorry, at all. Like, through 6 innings, unless one of 3 conditions are met. 100 pitches. And I don't know if most pitchers will hit 100 before 6 innings. It happens. Probably not having a great game if he gets to 100 pitches before 6 innings, but it definitely happens. You're usually around after 6, you're getting close to it. You're getting 90, 91, somewhere in there. And if they're pitching a really great game, sometimes less than that. Gives up 4 or more earned runs. So if you give up 4 or more earned runs, you can go ahead and take them out before 6 innings because they're not having a great game. Or, of course, if he gets injured, but that requires a trip to the injured list so that the manager can't just say, he's hurt, but he's not really hurt, just to have an excuse, which, of course, they would do. Oh, no, managers would never do that. Would never do that. Of course they would. And then pitchers would be forced to plan to face a lineup at least 3 times. And like I said, it would be more reminiscent of old school baseball. We have one starter against another starter. And yeah, if they've thrown 100 pitches, they're up in that pitch count. You can go get them. If they've given up 4 or more earned runs, they're not pitching well. Even if, first inning. I remember one game, 1989 National League Championship Series, Rick Russell went out there and was just getting lit in the first inning. It might have been game 1. And he was just giving up runs and runs and runs. He gave up 6 runs. It looked like it was just batting practice. He wasn't even throwing. He wasn't a really hard thrower anyway, but it looked like he was just straight up tossing them in there for him. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong with him. Gave up 6 runs. They went and got him. This was in the 80s. So if you've given up 4 runs, I think it makes sense. The manager can go get you and take you out because you're not pitching particularly great or you're not having a great game. Or, of course, if he gets hurt, you have to allow a pitcher to come out of the game if he is injured, but it does require a trip to the injured list. That's almost concerning because what if he's just slightly hurt? What if in like the 3rd inning, I don't know, maybe he takes a line drive off the leg somewhere and it's like, I think I should come out. I'm okay. I think I'm okay. I might want to come out of the game because I don't want to irritate it right now. Or whatever, a slight injury where they should come out of the game, but they're not so hurt that they have to go on the IL. Now you're pressured to keep them in. Like, well, I don't want to put them on the IL. Can you stay in? It could create a little issue there where a pitcher stays in the game where they're a little bit hurt. They should probably come out. In 5 days, they'll be fine. Instead, they got to go on the injured list. So I think more often, if a pitcher takes a line drive off or just tweaks a knee or something, they're going to try to stay in that game. Try to stay in that game through 6 just to not go on the injured list. Could be an issue. I don't know. But ultimately, I don't like that managers are being handcuffed or being told you cannot remove your pitcher. I don't like that. But on the other side of things, I like that if this was to happen, we would get starting pitching matchups and it would eliminate bullpen games. I would tweak it a little bit and say 5 innings instead of 6, just because 5 innings is the official number you have to pitch to be eligible for a win. So even in early baseball, when they came up with the rules for wins and losses, they said a starting pitcher's got to pitch 5 innings to even be eligible for a win. So it's like 5 innings, you've pitched enough that you're eligible for a win. This is your game. So maybe do 5 instead of 6. Maybe a little more reasonable. I don't know why they picked 6. I thought 5 would make a little more sense. We'll see. We'll see if this rule actually happens. What do you guys think of this rule? I haven't really said, do I like it? Do I not like it? All things said, all things told, I don't like managers not being able to go get their guy, but because of the exceptions, I don't mind this, because if they've given up 4 or more earned, if they haven't given up 4 runs, they haven't even thrown 100 pitches, and they're not hurt, why are you going to get them anyway? Oh, because I don't want to face them for the 3rd time? Like, get over that. So for me, I ultimately like it because of the exceptions. The exceptions make it a little better. I would make it 5 instead of 6, but if it's 6, I like it, to be honest. I think this is something that, and then you're watching the game, you're like, oh, you got to keep track. Does he throw? How many pitches has he thrown? You got to keep track in your mind and check the stats to see if he's even eligible to be removed. Something you got to keep an eye on when watching. And other than that, though, I kind of like it. I kind of like it. To get anything to get rid of bullpen games. So hey, this is a rare rule change I could kind of get behind. I would tweak a few things, but I could kind of get behind it. But let me know what you guys think in that comment section down below. The 6-inning minimum starting pitcher rule might come to Major League Baseball. And I don't even think this is something you can do in the minor leagues. You can't really experiment within the minor leagues, because in the minor leagues, they're trying to develop their pitchers. So they're building up their pitch counts and things like that. They're moving guys from the bullpen to a starter, and they got to build them up. So you can't just throw a guy 6 innings all the time. You have young guys just getting drafted out of high school and whatnot. You want to be easy on them. So the minor leagues, I don't see this rule going to the minor leagues. This might be something that comes straight to the big leagues. What do you guys think? Put it in that comment section, and we'll talk to you in the next one.